I'm here with Republican Congressional candidate Matt Doheny. I'm here with Republican Congressional candidate Elise Stefanik. As part of our coverage of the Republican primary on June 24th, we are asking each Republican candidate the same 3 questions and giving them up to 90 seconds to respond. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Tingley. Appreciate the opportunity.
Question number 1. The campaign has taken a negative turn in the past couple of weeks. With that in mind, is further campaign finance reform needed, and what, if anything, needs to be done?
Well, as someone who's been on the receiving end of over $1 million of negative advertising by the time we're done here, it clearly is not helping the political process. That's pretty clear. When you have, these outside DC groups that, for whatever reason, are in lockstep and truly supporting my opponent, it just goes to show you sometimes the truly negative influence. When it comes to campaign finance reform, look, certainly there's a First Amendment and people can go ahead and put their money behind candidates. What I have a problem with, and this is the case right here in our own 21st Congressional District, you don't know. At a bare minimum, you need to have disclosure. I think it was Justice Brandeis said, sunlight's the best disinfectant in terms of understanding what is actually going on. So from a case like right now, you have all these super PACs, with my opponent's, true support, trying to influence what the voters, here in the North Country in the 21st Congressional District are thinking. I don't think it's going to work. But certainly, you guys would be doing great reporting on who are the people who are trying to buy the seat from my opponent. So from that perspective, we need a lot more disclosure at a minimum as we go forward on campaign finance.
Absolutely. I think further campaign finance reform is needed, and I think we need to have more transparency for donors to outside groups. I think that's one of the challenges that we have as a country. Our campaign and the media and the ads and the radio advertisements and the mailings that we control have been 100% positive, and they will continue to be that way until the end of this campaign. I'm committed to that as a candidate, but I am disappointed of the negative campaigning in the district, but also nationally. And I think voters and constituents deserve to know where the donors are coming from. So I support 100% transparency, even for low-dollar donors in the district. Right now, Federal Elections Commission's rules, you only have to report high-dollar donors, but I think it's important both to show the support that you have within the district from those low-dollar donors, which is something we've focused on. So I would support campaign finance discussions at the national level.
Question number 2. If after being elected to Congress, you got 30 minutes in a room with John Boehner, what advice would you give him about leading the Republican Party?
That's a great question. I think the Republican Party needs a new generation of leadership, so I would encourage Speaker Boehner to encourage more new representatives and new candidates to run for office across the country. I also would encourage Speaker Boehner to put forth solutions that both Democrats and Republicans, conservatives, independents can get behind. I think greater transparency and accountability in terms of requiring members of the Republican Party to Facebook, tweet, ensure that their constituents know every single vote they're taking. I think bringing votes to the floor is very important. Putting forth solutions to get away from this belief that the Republican Party is a party of no. We are the party of new ideas. We just need to put them forth. And I also think, at the national level, we need to be making the case to our young voters and our women voters about how our principles based upon the free market, based upon limited government, is the best approach to help young people and women flourish.
That's a great question, because this is what I've been doing for the last 63 days in a row. I go out door to door. I go out, 40 to 50 doors a night. It doesn't matter if it's Queensbury up to the border of Rouse's Point, Messina, and all the way back around. And I have to tell you, look, Washington's broken, Speaker. That if you want to continue as Speaker, we need to do things differently, because people have lost confidence in Washington and, most importantly, Congress. They don't think people listen. They know that the results are going to be, doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, more spending, less control, and less actual impact in their lives to actually make lives better. We need to change that. So first thing we got to do is just like, imagine if we're running Congress as our own business, in terms of actual accountability, where you have things like the VA scandal, people need to be fired and held accountable. In terms of our own accounting, how we as a family, as a small business, as just a non-for-profit, how we run our businesses and how we run our affairs. It's not happening in Washington. There's different accounting where, a 3% increase as opposed to a 5% is known as a cut. Things like that that make no economic sense, we need to change. And lastly, we have to learn to compromise. As a businessman, Speaker, I do deals all the time. And guess what? The people I don't necessarily agree with all the time. But again, as Ronald Reagan taught us, someone who's with us 80% of the time is our friend, not our enemy. I think a lot of our colleagues, a lot of folks in Congress, both on sides of the aisle, have to realize that we need to compromise and get things done. If you don't do that, we're not going to be able to take the country back, and the results will speak for themselves.
Finally, our last question. We're doing something a little bit different this time
Excellent.
around. Probably been watching a little bit too much Jeopardy. This is going to be our video daily double. So what we'd like you to do, if you could stand up for a second. Here's your pen.
Yes.
And what we would like you to do is, on this little chart here, we have the liberal, moderate, conservative timeline here.
Yes.
And we'd like you to put where you stand ideologically.
I would say, I stand, right about, right in here. This is where I stand.
Liberal, moderate, conservative, and we'd like you to put where you stand ideologically on the line.
Since this is a little different, I'm going to answer a little differently. I represent this portion of the chart, but I'm willing to work with everybody on the chart to bring forth independent solutions, because I think so much of the divide causes gridlock in Washington. So I am a proud conservative. I'm a big tent conservative, but I'm willing to work with anyone across party lines, and I think there are opportunities to do so in the New York State delegation.
But if you had to put one spot there. Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.